Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into, well, the really incredible, sometimes surprising connections happening right inside our own bodies, especially in, the gut. It's a bustling world down there.
Absolutely fascinating.
And our main focus today is this remarkable metabolite made by our gut microbes. It's called butyrate.
That's the one.
We're going to try and unravel its role, which seems almost contradictory, doesn't it? Like paradoxical, especially when we talk about health, disease, and specifically cancer.
It definitely has that paradoxical reputation.
So our mission really for this deep dive is to unpack what researchers actually call the butyrate paradox. We'll pull out the key insights from the sources so you can quickly get a handle on how this one molecule, amazingly, can fuel healthy cells,
Right.
but also slam the brakes on cancer cells.
Right.
But crucially, only the right context.
Context is everything here.
Okay, let's dig in. So maybe we should start by just setting the scene.
Good idea.
I mean, thinking about the human gut, it's like this busy metabolic factory, right?
Exactly. Trillions of microbes breaking down food, making compounds.
And these compounds interact with our health in some really surprising ways. And butyrate is one of those key compounds.
It really is. Butyrate, it's a short-chain fatty acid. Basically, it's what you get when gut bacteria ferment fiber, resistant starches right there in your colon.
Okay.
And its main job, its primary role, is pretty fundamental. It's a key energy source for colonocytes.
Those are the cells lining the colon.
That's right, the cells lining the colon. In fact, butyrate can supply, get this, up to 70% of the energy needs of a healthy colonocyte.
Wow, okay, 70%, that's huge. So it's essential fuel for our normal gut cells. But okay, this is where it starts getting really interesting and hints at that paradox we mentioned.
Exactly, because it's not just fuel. Butyrate also acts as something called a histone deacylase inhibitor, an HDAC.
HDAC, okay, break that down a little bit. Histone.
Right, so histones are basically proteins that our DNA wraps around. Think of them like spools for thread. And how tightly that DNA thread is wound affects whether genes can be switched on or off. Acetylation is one way these histones are modified.
Okay.
So butyrate, by inhibiting these HDAC enzymes, it essentially keeps the histones acetylated. This leads to a more open DNA structure, which allows certain genes to stay active, accessible, and crucially, this includes tumor suppressor genes.
Tumor suppressor genes, so it's turning on protective mechanisms.
In a way, yes, it's allowing those protective genes to be expressed. This gene-regulating ability is, well, it's really powerful, and it's the first big clue to butyrate's sort of dual nature.
Supporting healthy cells, but maybe targeting problem ones.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've got butyrate as an HDAC inhibitor influencing genes. Now, to really grasp the paradox, you mentioned we need to bring in another key idea. The Warburg effect.
Yes, the Warburg effect. It's a really key metabolic feature you see in many cancer cells.
How does that work?
Well, most of our healthy cells, they're very efficient at making energy using oxygen. It's a process called oxidative phosphorylation, or OXPHOS.
Right, standard energy production.
Exactly. But many cancer cells, strangely, even when there's plenty of oxygen around, they prefer a different route. A less efficient but much faster process called glycolysis, often followed by fermentation.
Faster, but less efficient. Why would they do that?
It seems to be about rapidly churning out building blocks for growth. Things like nucleotides, lipids, everything a cell needs to divide quickly, rather than just maximizing ATP, the energy currency.
Okay, so it's about speed and materials for growth.
That's the idea. And here's the crucial link back to butyrate. Because these cancer cells, relying on the Warburg effect, this glycolysis pathway, they're actually less efficient at metabolizing butyrate itself.
So they don't use it up as quickly.
Exactly, which means it accumulates inside cancer cells. It builds up.
Okay, and what happens then if it's building up?
Well, remember its role as an HDAC inhibitor.
Yeah.
When it accumulates to higher levels inside these cancer cells, it acts more strongly as an HDAC inhibitor there.
So it has a bigger effect on the genes inside cancer cells.
Precisely. It starts switching on genes that slow cell growth, promote differentiation, which makes cells more specialized and less like rapidly dividing cancer cells, or even trigger apoptosis.
Apoptosis, that's programmed cell death.
Right. It tells the cell to self-destruct. Now, contrast that sharply with healthy colon cells.
Okay.
They don't rely on the Warburg effect. They eagerly metabolize butyrate for energy. It's their preferred fuel.
So it doesn't accumulate in healthy cells.
Right. It gets used up quickly.
Yeah.
This limits its accumulation, and therefore limits its HDAC inhibitor effect, its gene-regulating effect, in those healthy cells. In fact, in healthy cells, butyrate might even promote cell growth, helping to maintain a healthy gut lining.
Wow. Okay, so let me see if I've got this. The same molecule can fuel healthy gut cells, maybe even help them grow, but inside a cancer cell, because of the way the cancer cell makes energy, it builds up.
Yes.
And then acts like a brake or even triggers self-destruct by messing with the cancer cell's genes.
You've got it. That's the essence of it.
Right. It's acting in completely opposite ways depending on the cell type, almost like a metabolic switch hitter.
Haha. Yeah, that's one way to put it.
This is the core of that butyrate paradox that's just so fascinating.
It really is. But, the story gets even more layered. Research now shows the paradox is more complex than originally thought.
Oh, how so?
Well, how a cell responds isn't just about its metabolism, the Warburg effect or not. It also seems to depend on its differentiation status.
Meaning how specialized the cell is.
Exactly. So more differentiated cells, maybe less aggressive tumors, might react differently than, say, very aggressive stem-like or undifferentiated cancer cells.
Okay, that makes sense. Other factors.
Oh, yeah. The actual concentration of butyrate matters. The tumor's specific genetic profile plays a role, and even the surrounding microbial environment of the host can influence things.
So it's not just cell type A versus cell type B. It's much more nuanced.
Definitely. Which, raises that important question. What other factors are really driving this, shaping butyrate's impact in different situations?
And it seems, based on the sources, it gets even more intricate.
Yeah.
There's a suggestion that butyrate might not just be sort of reacting to the Warburg effect in cancer cells, but it might actually interfere with it, actively push back against it. What's the thinking there?
That's a really exciting area of newer research. The idea is that butyrate might inhibit the pyruvate dehydrogenase kinase enzyme, PDHK.
Okay, what does PDHK normally do?
PDHK normally acts as a gatekeeper. It kind of blocks pyruvate, the end product of glycolysis, from entering the mitochondria to be fully burned for energy via OXPHOS.
Right, pushing the cell towards that less efficient Warburg pathway.
Exactly. So if butyrate inhibits PDHK, it could essentially reopen the gate. It might allow pyruvate to get back into the mitochondria and undergo that more normal, efficient oxidative metabolism again.
So butyrate could potentially nudge cancer cells away from the Warburg effect.
That's the hypothesis. In effect, butyrate could help push cancer cells back toward normal energy production, which might make them, less aggressive.
Is the evidence strong for this?
It's building, definitely. A lot of the work is currently in cell lines and animal models, as you'd expect. Translating that definitively to humans requires more clinical studies, of course, but it's a very promising line of inquiry.
And wasn't there something else, another mechanism mentioned in the sources?
Yes. Another recent discovery, which is pretty cool. Scientists have found butyrate can also induce something called ferroptosis.
Ferroptosis. Haven't heard much about that one.
It's a newly recognized form of programmed cell death, distinct from apoptosis. It's driven by iron accumulation and lipid peroxidation.
Okay, and butyrate triggers this how?
It seems to promote a process called ferritinophagy. Basically, the cell starts breaking down ferritin, which is its main iron storage protein,
leading to iron overload and ferroptosis.
That seems to be the mechanism. And because it's different from apoptosis, which cancer cells often find ways to resist, this opens up potentially new therapeutic avenues. It's another layer to butyrate's anti-cancer potential.
Okay, this is all incredibly interesting, but let's get practical for a moment. Hearing all this, the obvious question for listeners is probably, okay, so should I just start eating way more fiber to try and fight off colon cancer?
Right, the million-dollar question. And the answer is possibly, but it's not quite that simple.
Knew there would be a catch.
Well, it's biology, right? Studies do show that patients who have colorectal cancer often tend to have lower levels of butyrate-producing bacteria in their gut.
Are there specific types known for this?
Yes. The sources often mention species like Faecalibacterium prosnitzii and Roseburia species. These guys are known butyrate producers.
So lower levels of these bacteria in cancer patients.
Correct. But, and this is a really important but, this correlation doesn't prove cause and effect.
Right. Correlation isn't causation. Maybe the cancer changes the gut environment, not the other way around, or something else causes both.
Exactly. It suggests a potential link, definitely one worth investigating further, but we can't definitively say low butyrate causes cancer based on that alone.
Okay. What else complicates the picture?
Well, butyrate levels themselves aren't uniform throughout the colon. They actually vary along the colon. Levels are often higher in the proximal colon, the part closer to the small intestine, and lower further down.
Why is that?
It likely relates to where the most fermentation of fiber happens. Plus, there are big individual differences. Your unique diet, microbiome composition, and gut transit time, how quickly things move through all, play a really significant role in how much butyrate is produced and where.
So just eating more fiber doesn't guarantee high butyrate levels exactly where you might need the most for everyone.
Precisely. It's much more personalized than that.
Man, this deep dive really shows how biology just resists those simple, easy answers, doesn't it?
It certainly does, which is what makes it so endlessly fascinating to study.
Yeah.
So maybe to sort of wrap things up, butyrate is clearly not a magic bullet. We can't just say, take butyrate, cure cancer.
Right.
But it absolutely is a remarkable molecule. It has these multiple complex roles in health and disease. It's a metabolic modulator, a gene regulator, even a cell death trigger. It's a really important focus, especially in colorectal cancer research.
And the big takeaway seems to be
Context matters hugely. Things like your diet, your genetics, your specific microbiome makeup, the type of tumor if one is present, even the specific dose or concentration of butyrate, all these factors seem to shape its effects.
it's a complex interplay.
Very much so.
So I guess what's clear then is that diets rich in fiber, the stuff that feeds these butyrate-producing microbes well, they might provide a really powerful, and let's face it, pasty way to support your overall gut health.
Definitely supports gut health.
And possibly help reduce cancer risk, though the direct link is complex.
That seems like a fair summary based on current understanding.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. The next time you're thinking about what's on your plate, just consider how something as seemingly simple as the food you eat, the fiber in it, can have these incredibly profound, really intricate biological effects deep inside you.
Yeah.
It makes you ponder the vast, still unfolding discoveries happening within our own bodies all the time.